Industry expert Bill Bishop shares his insights on what has happened in the white metal market in the first half of 2024.
Early January was soft for a couple of reasons. We think there was some overhang from the end of the year. The holiday week was sort of off, and then weather across the northern two-thirds of the country was really, really restrictive. So we didn't see a quick uptake, but by the end of January, we saw was the beginnings of a really normal spring market. We had a really orderly move from there into a very normal spring market that lasted into probably the second week of May. Volumes were right where they should be. Buyer participation was as expected, and pricing held along that supply and demand line. And then right about the second week in May into now this last week of June, we've seen a bit of a letdown. Markets have certainly softened. Inventory is a little snug still, yet buyer participation has really kind of waned as we've come into the summer. It's been a bit of a mixed bag so far this year. Class 3 through 5 has really seen quite a bit of rotation over the first 5.5 months of the year. We've seen Sprinter vans and Euro vans and medium duty van sort of equipment do really well and then go completely soft within 2 or 3 weeks. We've seen the standard pickup chassis, whether it has a pickup body, a service body, or a flatbed on it, have a similar rotation. We've watched, the 500 or 550, 5500 class, 450, 4500 class, really shine and then have, almost no interest whatsoever. We've seen something very similar with boxes and cutaways on that similar chassis. So, we've probably had a 3 or 4 week period where each one of these classes or these specs of these vehicles has done really quite well, and then they've sort of softened behind it. With regard to the class 6, 7, that's really sort of peeled away as well. We've seen some strength around the reefer equipment. The vocational equipment still shows some strength as well. Box trucks have become, pretty soft. If you have desirable spec, and you're going to hear this throughout, the rest of our talk today, but if you have good spec and we have good miles, the buyers are still quite interested. But the undesirable stuff or the very, very high mile equipment is a challenge right now in that class 6, class 7, mostly straight trucks. Class 8 vehicles, both day cabs and sleepers, were probably the most affected or had the greatest softening. We've seen some specs in that market where we're off by 55% over last year. It's really taken a drop. Sleeper trucks have really softened probably the hardest. Day cabs, again, with good spec and good miles, have held on, but they're still probably down 30% over where the same levels we were seeing, into May and June of 2023. Freight certainly, softened really quickly late last year into the early part of this year. And just as, one more caveat, as freight went, trailer sales and trailer pricing peeled off right along with it. We've seen trailer pricing and volumes move in a way I don't think I've probably ever seen before. There's a certain segment of trailers at this point that just has no value whatsoever, and that's been a while since we've seen anything like that.